Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhara Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone chant. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Nitai Gora Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, Nitai Gora Nitai Gora Premanande, Hari Hari Hari. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatya Deshatarani. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar iti namani. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana iti namani. Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanuga Pravaram Vraja Rasa Rasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapannam. Namo Vishnupadaya Acharya Singha Rupane Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namani. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati iti Namani. Namo Gaura Kisharaya Sakshat Vairagya Murtai Vipralambara Sambodhe Padambujayate Nama. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namani. Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. Gaura Virbhav Bhumestvam Nirgeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahabhajanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tishe Namah. Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayate Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janava Patayena Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Takta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jayatam Shuruto Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarva Swapadambojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadha Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prestala Bhisepyamanos Madami Srimad Rasa Rasarambi Vam Shivata Tatakstitaha Karshan Venu Swanaira Gopir Gopinata Shriyeshtunaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshay Kshiptascha Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Amai Tvam Sharanam Prapannam Vrinde Namaste Sharanara Brindai Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare. First of all, I'm offering my Ananta Koti Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashto Tarasata Sri Shila, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashtatarasata Sri Shila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavis. So we're reading text 2, verse 2 of Sri Manasiksha. Everyone can read along and repeat after me. Nadarmam Shrutigana Niruktam Kila Kuru. Nadarmam Shrutigana Niruktam Kila Kuru. Raje Radha Krishna Prachura Paricharyam Ihatanu. Sachi Sunandandishvara Pati Sutatve Guruvaram. Mukunda Prishtatve Smara Paramajashram Nanumana. Translation. O my dear mind, please do not perform either the routine religious activities resulting in piety, dharma, or the irreligious activities resulting in sin, adharma, as mentioned in the Shrutis or the Vedas. Rather, you should render profuse loving service to Shri Shri Radha Krishna Jugal here in Braja. For the Shrutis have ascertained them to be the highest principle of supreme worship and to be the supreme absolute truth. So always meditate on Sachinandan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is richly endowed with the complexion and the sentiments of Srimati Radhika as non-different from Sri Nandanandan, and always remember the spiritual master as most dear to Sri Mukunda. So we have already read the entire purport of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we've read about half of the Anuvritti commentary, which is the lecture of our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, on this verse. He gave that lecture in Hindi, and it was translated into English, and that is here included in this book. So, we're beginning from the verse composed by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami to offer his heartfelt pranams to his Siksha Guru, Srila Sanatana Goswami. And this is actually the pranam mantra that we recite to Sanatana Goswami. When we want to go to the Samadhi of Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan, then we recite this mantra. When we want to say our full pranam mantras to our entire Guru Varga, our entire disciplic succession. And of course, the 6 Goswamis are included, and especially Rupa and Sanatana. We recite their pranam mantras. So this is the pranam mantra which Srila Raghunath Das Goswami glorified Sanatana Goswami. So this is the verse 6 from Vilapa Kusumanjali, and he's telling Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayayan Mamanabipsu Mandham Kripam Buddhirya Paradukka Dukki Sanatanastam Prabhamashrayami. Vairagya Yog Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayayan Mam Anabipsu Mandham Kripam Buddhirya Paradukka Dukki Sanatanam Tam Prabhamashrayami. So Srila Sanatana Goswami, this is his translation of this verse. Srila Sanatana Goswami is an ocean of mercy who grieves for the distress of others. Although I was blinded by ignorance and I was unwilling to do so, he, Sanatana Goswami, induced me with great diligence to drink the nectarine liquid mellows of devotion, which are endowed with renunciation. Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya. That means the liquid mellows of devotion, the nectarine liquid mellows of devotion, which are endowed with Vairagya, renunciation. Actually, our beloved Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, he wrote a verse which was a somewhat parallel verse as this verse when he was glorifying who? His sannyas guru, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Just as Sanatana Goswami had forcefully given this mercy, forced Raghunath Das Goswami to drink what? Bhakti Rasa. He forced him. And Raghunath Das Goswami is saying that even though I was unwilling to do this, why? Because I was blinded by ignorance. Anabipsum andham. That means blinded by andha, darkness, ignorance. And apayayan ma'am. I was not willing to drink. But Srila Sanatana Goswami, prayatnaya, vairagya yug bhakti rasam prayatnaya means that he forcefully forced me to drink. Vairagya yug bhakti rasam. This bhakti rasa, which is also combined together with vairagya. And we know that the term vairagya, it has two different meanings. But one of the main meanings from our viewpoint of the Rupanuga Acharyas is that vairagya means a specific, special type of rag. Rag means attachment. But vairagya means detachment from what? From the rag of this material world. That's called vairagya. But the same word, when it's understood in a different interpretation of the words, vai and ragya, it also means a specific type of rag, attachment. You see. So Raghunath Das Goswami, even though he's on the highest level, but he's glorifying Srila Sanatana Goswami as being the person who induced him forcefully to drink this nectar. And why did he do so? Kripam buddhir yap paradukka dukki. Kripam buddhir means that he is a ocean of kripa, an ocean of mercy. Ambudhi means an ocean. Kripam buddhi, that he is an ocean of mercy. Yap paradukka dukki. This is the nature of these great Rupanuga Acharyas. They are actually oceans of mercy and paradukka dukki. When they see the sufferings of the conditioned souls in this material world, when they see all of their attempts are simply resulting in nothing but suffering and misery, so they themselves feel suffering. They feel suffering when they see the conditioned souls of this material world who are suffering. So because of that, he forced me to drink this nectar of bhakti rasa mixed with vairagya. Even though I was unwilling to drink, and I was blinded by the darkness of ignorance, but out of his causeless mercy, he forced me to drink. So sanatanastam prabhum ashrayami, I take shelter of the lotus feet of Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhu. So this, our Srila Prabhupada, he modified this verse. I can't remember exactly how he did it, but he combined two verses together. One is Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Siksharkam Ekak Purushak Purana. What's the next line? No. Siksharkam Ekak Purushak Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sarira Dari Kripam Buddhir Yastamaham Prapadye. Yeah, Yastamaham Prapadye. So that verse was spoken by who? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. There are two prominent verses spoken by him after Mahaprabhu revealed himself and completely changed his whole mood of Mayavadism. And then he revealed his six-armed form also to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But only these two verses, Mahaprabhu wanted that they should be erased, but all the devotees had memorized them already. So that's why we have those two verses. So, what is that verse telling? It's telling not exactly the same thing as this verse, but it's telling that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has mercifully appeared to give Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, to give his own Bhakti Yoga, along with Vairagya and Vidya, by performing his Bhakti Yoga that he has lived and taught. So he is giving this gift to everybody of transcendental knowledge and Vairagya. So the same word is used, Vairagya, Yog Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya. But as we just explained, there are two different understandings of it. So Srila Prabhupada used that other verse that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told. But in the end of that verse, where it explains that Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dari Kripam Buddhiri Yas Tamaham Prapadye. So then he replaced the name of Mahaprabhu with the name of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. So his mood was like this, that I was unwilling, but out of his causeless mercy, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj forced me. So now, I'm reading the translation of this verse one more time. Srila Sanatana Goswami is an ocean of mercy, and he grieves for the distress of others. And although I was blinded by ignorance and I was unwilling to do so, he induced me with great diligence to drink the nectarine liquid mellows of devotion, which are endowed with renunciation. I take shelter of that Sanatana Goswami Prabhu as my instructing spiritual master. Now, Gurudev is continuing, quoting this verse. He's telling, Sanatana Goswami instructed him to serve Sri Radha Krishna. And the aim of our bhajan should also be to serve them. Sanatana Goswami is very merciful. So what Sanatana Goswami has given in his Brihad Bhagavatamritam is the desire to follow Gopakumar and Narada. Now Vaidhi Bhakti starts from Shraddha, from faith. That's where Vaidhi Bhakti begins. And it progresses slowly, gradually, step by step by step. It progresses slowly up to what? Up to Ruchi, which means taste. Now Shraddha in Raganuga Bhakti is different. It generally starts in Raganuga Bhakti, this Shraddha generally starts from the stage of Asakti, deep attachment. And due to the presence of greed, it progresses very quickly. So I want to just try to point out, please listen carefully, I want to point out to the devotees that what is the very important point that Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj is making here, he's trying to give this very, very essential understanding that if someone is trying to progress in Vaidhi Bhakti, yes, they can progress, they can go step by step. They will have to start from Shraddha, from faith, and they have to progress slowly. It is a slow progression, and gradually progressing up to Ruchi, up to taste. But Shraddha, in Raganuga Bhakti, it's different. We have to understand this point, that it's different. There's a very essential quality to that Shraddha that makes it completely different from the Vaidhi Bhakti pathway. And what is that? Well, that Shraddha starts from the stage of asakti. Very deep attachment. And how does it do that? How in the world does it start from the stage of asakti when Shraddha is generally the first stage? It's the first step. And asakti is like 5, 6 steps later. But here, he's pointing out, due to the presence of greed. What is greed called? Lobha. It progresses very quickly. This is exactly what Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj came to the whole world and with the ISKCON leaders for a few years before he came out of India. He was trying to give this into the hearts of the Vaishnavas, to give some opportunity for them to develop this lobha, this greed. So now, Gurudev is saying, if we are to accept the statement that one should not read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we did read this the other day, but I'm just refreshing. Some persons are saying we should not read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But did our Srila Prabhupada agree with that? How do we know he didn't agree?
He said you should. Because he read the Krishna book before he completed Srimad Bhagavatam, gave us the 10th canto.
Exactly. Exactly. His movement was already 4 years old. His ISKCON movement was already 4 years old. Maybe it was actually 3 years old at that time. And there's the story in Shyamasundar Prabhu's book of how Srila Prabhupada told him that he should approach George Harrison and that he should ask him for a donation to cover the printing cost of the Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada had received all of the necessary materials that you have to give to the printers. And it had pictures of the paintings and the whole layout. And he gave that into the hands of Shyamasundar Prabhu, who tells the story himself. That Prabhupada explained to him, this is a very, very important book. Why is it an important book? Why is the Krishna book, which is titled Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why is that a very important book? Because it's the entire 90 chapters of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the essence of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. If you don't read that, you haven't read the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you don't read that, you haven't read the Srimad Bhagavatam. So now Srila Prabhupada is very anxious. He's translated it. It's all ready to go to the printers. Prabhupada is there in England. He's ready to bring it to the printers. And why does he want to hurry this up? are the reasons why Srila Prabhupada would want to hurry this up? Why? Because he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be on the Earth planet. And luckily, he stayed a good chunk of years longer. That was like 69. He stayed about 8 more years, till 1977. That's one reason. That's one reason why he wanted that book to be hurried up. But what's the other reason? Because it was time. It was time. These young devotees, some of them joined in 1966, and 67, 68, and they're still fledgling neophytes. And he wanted to give the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which he did. You know, I was just rereading Prabhupada's introduction to the Bhagavatam, the whole big, huge section of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like a biographical sketch, you know. And guess what the 5 topics are in that introduction? The same exact 5 topics that are in his book, The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So those 5, Rup Siksha, Sanatana Siksha, Sarvabhaum, Prakashananda Saraswati, and Roy Ramananda Sambhad. That's the 5 that are in his introduction. So it was his determined plan when he's going to introduce the teachings of Mahaprabhu to the Western world, because he can't do the Chaitanya Charitamrita yet, because he has to give the Bhagavatam. He's only got 3 volumes or maybe a little bit of the 2nd canto starting at that point. Because when I came in 1970, we were just getting the first chapters of the 2nd canto. In August, September of 1970, we were just getting them mailed to us, you know? And they were in the small booklets, like the first chapter. What was that called? First Step in God Realization. 2nd chapter, with the picture of the Paramatma, the red picture. The Lord in the heart, like that. And guess what? That very same painting was shipped directly to us, not a copy of it. That Lord in the Heart painting was shipped to us exactly at that time, because at that time the artists were shipping these to go on the walls of Prabhupada's temples. So in Detroit we had that. And I remember looking at that painting. This is the Lord here in my heart. And I had like a mystical exchange with the Paramatma's face on that painting at that time. It convinced me, yes, it's true. So Srila Prabhupada, he completed the nectar of devotion. He's got to give the nectar of devotion because he has to give these teachings of Rupa Goswami. He has to give them. How can he have a Krishna consciousness movement without that? So he has to give that, which will teach all the devotees why we're practicing bhakti, and what is bhakti, and how to do bhakti, and how not to do offenses, and all of that. Everything is there. Srila Prabhupada, you know what he called that? He called that the handbook of the Krishna consciousness movement. The nectar of devotion. So, he's got these books and the Sri Upanishad that was already printed. And his Bhagavad Gita hadn't quite yet been printed. Not quite yet. That Macmillan version. It was delayed and delayed, you know. And then the abridged version came out because Macmillan wouldn't agree to print the whole thing. So then we had to wait another few years. Srila Prabhupada had to wait again until the contract expired, and then finally think it was 1974, they finally printed the unabridged Bhagavad Gita as it is. Thick. So now, coming back to the story of the Krishna book. And Prabhupada told Shama Sundar, you should go to George and you should request him and tell him that Prabhupada is asking that you should help to finance this printing of this book. And you should show him all the colors, separations in the book, right? But then Shama Sundar is really reluctant. You know why? Because George has already been giving regularly some very significant donations. For example, that very next day he was going to meet with George, and he was going to meet him at a marble company, at a big marble company on the outskirts of London. And who was accompanying George Harrison was the #1 top main sculptor of the royal family. Forget his name. But he came along with him to help him to select this slab of marble, or a couple slabs of very costly marble. For what? For the altar at the Berry Place Temple, which was going to very soon be opened. They needed to make the altar. And Shama Sundar was very concerned, and he actually mentioned it to Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada, I think, I'm worried because the access that George Harrison allows us to have to him is because we never really ask him for anything. We don't take the position of trying to get something from him like everybody else does. And I'm just really concerned that this may upset. It may upset him. So that day, their visit to the marble company was scheduled at a certain time in the afternoon. Oh, I forgot to tell. So when he mentioned that to Prabhupada, you know what Prabhupada said? Actually, Prabhupada said it to him as he turned to go towards the door and leave Prabhupada's apartment. And then Prabhupada spoke to him, and he turned around again. And Prabhupada said, you will see. Everything will be all right. So then, he's there meeting George and this sculptor at this marble company, and George is very happy to be doing this. He's really feeling, like that he's doing devotional service, And so, Shama Sundar is kind of dreading what he's going to have to do later, because they had planned that after going there, purchasing everything, then they would go to George Harrison's house, and George Harrison's wife, Olivia, along with Shama Sundar's wife, Malati, they will already have cooked together in the kitchen a wonderful prasadam feast. So now it's time that they're going to sit down at the dinner table. And Shama Sundar realizes, well, this is it. This is the time. I'm just going to have to do it. And so he takes this out to show to George, and he starts showing it to George that Prabhupada wanted me to show this to you. This is his new book. And it's actually the entire 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so he started like paging through it, and George is looking at it. But Shama Sundar notices that George is starting to feel uneasy. And it's showing on his face. And it's showing on his eyebrows. And George has it figured out that he's about to be asked to give this money. And this didn't sit well with him. especially on the day that he just spent a few £1,000 for that, for the marble. So, Shyamasundar just grits his teeth and goes ahead and does exactly what Prabhupada wanted him to do. And he sees that George is not happy. But what's going on the outskirts of the house is a gigantic, huge thunderstorm is now whipping up like anything outside. Right? And George, just at the moment when he's about to kind of like express his dislike to Shyamasundar, which he's never had to do before, boom! Gigantic thunder like we get here sometimes. It's so everything shakes. The entire house shook from that, and the electricity went off. So everybody's just sitting there, kind of quiet, not really speaking anything, And they sat for like 1 minute, 2 minutes, nobody spoke anything. 3 minutes, and suddenly the lights come back on. George is sitting there with a smile on his face. And he says, so, how much is the sum that is needed? Because George understood, he's a devotee. He understood Krishna just did this. At that exact moment, Krishna did this. And he got the message, and he understood, this is what Prabhupada and Krishna want, you give. So then Shyamasundar was very happy. He could report to Srila Prabhupada. It says the amount in the front of the Krishna book, I think it was $19,000 or something. Like that. You remember? Huh? 17,000. Which at this time, that 17 would probably be equivalent to like 70,000 or something. But something. But at any rate, then Shyamasundar wrote that introduction by George Harrison. He wrote it, and then, George Harrison signed it happily, and like that, and added a few words to it at the end. So, then the book went to the printers, Dai Nippon, in Japan, and it was printed. And when I came, the very day that I entered the Hare Krishna temple in Detroit to stay forever, I was all alone in the temple room early in the morning, like 9 o'clock after breakfast. I was doing some cleaning in the temple room. And there was the Krishna book sitting on those beautiful Indian, foldable book stands. I sat down and I started paging through it. And guess what? Guess what we did? Every day there was a reading of the Krishna book as we were in the Sankirtan van going out to chant on the streets all day long, and sitting in the Sankirtan van coming back. And while we were taking prasadam, the Krishna book was being read. And while we were having hot milk prasadam in the evening with bananas mixed into the milk, the Krishna book was being read. So we lived and we breathed the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. And that book was distributed by the millions, probably a few 100 million of them distributed at this point in time all over the world in all different languages. But yet, there is some relevance. There is some relevance to certain individuals, in Gaudiya Math, I'll say, that had some objection to openly giving the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I won't mention names. But why? Well, I mean, for example, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he himself had a limitation placed upon his disciples, and he had 3 categories of disciples. Found it? 19, yeah. So he had 3 categories of disciples. One was, these were disciples that had been practicing for some time. That they had understood Siddhanta. They had understood Siddhanta. And so he awarded them a title, and the title was given called Upadeshak, which means one who can give instructions. So then the next level of those who had progressed much further, they were called Maha Upadeshak, or in Bengali they combine the 2 words Mahopadeshak. And then the top level was called Maha Mahopadeshak, 2 Mahas. That was rare. Persons like Ananta Vasudeva and scholarly individuals like Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar, like that. They had those titles. And there was a limitation being placed on certain devotees of a certain level. That they shouldn't venture forward to read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, as of yet. There was some. But when Srila Gurudev heard that throughout the Western countries in the late 1990s, certain individuals were actually traveling in the Western countries and mentioning this, that we should not read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I remember Gurudev in Badger, not in the program, like in the house where he was staying, he was speaking about this and challenging this. How anyone can say like this. So here, Gurudev is now pointing out that if it is a fact that we are to accept this statement that one should not read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, then what does that automatically indicate? Then that automatically indicates we should also not study the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We should also not study the books of our Goswamis, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so on. Because why? Because all those books, are imbued with the same topics. We should not hear the dialogue between Rai Ramananda and Mahaprabhu. Even the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Satyam Param Dhimahi. What is that first verse full of? It's full of Radha Prem. Radha Prem is in that verse. So we should not read this either. And in the third verse, Srimad Bhagavatam is described, the Bhagavatam itself is described as Nirgama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. That it is the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literature. That's what the Srimad Bhagavatam is. So then Gurudev is saying, so, what is in this verse? The entire 10th canto and other pastimes exist within this verse in coded form. Therefore, we should also be restricted from studying this. So then, what is left? Gurudev asks. So when Maharaj Parikshit, when he asked Sukadeva Goswami that Krishna is Bhagavan himself, so why did he break the religious principles? And why did he perform the rasa dance with the wives of others? This is not proper. Why did Maharaj Parikshit ask that to Sukadeva Goswami? It's in the 5th chapter of the 5 chapters of rasa dance. Why did he put that question forward? because he knew that there were various individuals, even in this audience of thousands and thousands of sages, tens of thousands of sages. And they also had some sensitivity to this. So Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami, Krishna is Bhagavan himself. Well, why did he break the religious principles? If he's Bhagavan himself, and he's established the religious principles, so then why did he break the religious principles and then perform the rasa dance with the wives of others? Huh? This is not proper, Parikshit Maharaj said. So then Shukadeva Goswami replied, if one can obtain Bhagavan by means of anger, if one can obtain Bhagavan by means of lust, if one can obtain Bhagavan by means of envy, then why can't one approach him by praying, by divine love, and by calm, by spiritual desire, calm? So Shukadeva Goswami wanted to describe, he wanted to describe there in the 10th canto, other leelas also. Like what? The Holy Leela, color throwing festival. The Julan Leela, the swing festival. Along with the Ras Leela. He wanted. But he did not describe those pastimes because he considered the audience ineligible to hear them. That's why. Now therefore, our acharyas, they went ahead and they described all of these in their books, in Krishna Bhavanamrita, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in Govinda Lilamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. They described all these leelas. And as they described them, they're thinking that unauthorized persons would not read them. That's why they went ahead. Because they thought that unauthorized person, they would not read them. But if one has what? If one has a little taste, a little ruchi, he will surely read them. So, you were there, Sajjan Maharaj, in Australia. When Gurudev was giving those series of lectures which were turned into a book, what was it called? The title. He gave this series of lectures in Murwillumbah, and there was one disciple of his, a lady disciple, Australian, who decided prior to Gurudev's arrival that she would print up and laminate the whole Ashtakalya Leelas, which were given in an abbreviated form. You remember that? They were given in an abbreviated form, not the full thing. Just like an index. They were given like that. She decided to print them up, and she went around and distributed them to some of the very senior devotees. Huh? She what?
She gave me one.
Yeah, she gave to the senior devotees. And then it was brought to Gurudev's attention. Maybe she even tried to give one to Gurudev himself. I don't know. But in his lecture, Gurudev then confronted this. He brought this up. And do you remember what he said?
You shouldn't jump to the top of the tree.
He said, Gurudev explained that you want to distribute this. But this is not for distribution. This is not for distribution. Why? Because within the Ashtakalya Leela, there are also many intimate pastimes which are being described in the various 8 time periods of the day, especially in the middle of the night. Naisha Lila, in the middle of the night, when Radha and Krishna are together in the Nikunja. So, Gurudev said, if you go ahead and you try to read this, he says, you are bound to commit offense. You are bound to commit offense. Why? Because you're not yet eligible to hear these. And what will you think about? You will think about your own mundane, lusty experience of being alone with the opposite sex in the middle of the night. That's what you'll think of, and therefore you'll commit a great offense against Radha and Krishna, which has absolutely nothing at all to do with mundane lust. Nothing. Zero. Less than zero. 1,000,000 times less than zero. Nothing at all. But because you are unqualified and you still have so many anarthas covering your heart, and you're lusty, so you are bound to commit offense. Therefore you should not. This should not be distributed. So, but then what did Guru Devatatma, that's the name of that book, Guru Devatatma, from those lectures. So then Srila Gurudev, he began to say, but there are some who they are qualified. And even if they are told, you should not read this. But because they are qualified, they will still go and read this. He said, this is for them. So Srila Gurudev is trying to make this point that if somebody says, don't read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, then that automatically, by definition, it all automatically means that they also should not read all these other literatures. But here he says that Krishna Bhavanamrita, Govinda Lilamrita by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, why did they present it? Because they understood unauthorized persons would not read them. They'll automatically be barred from reading them. But, what does he say next? If one has a little taste, he will surely read them. So everything should be done according to adhikar, qualification. Now, Gurudev goes on, and he says that the pastimes of Krishna, they are described in the dialogue between Uddhava and Maitreya, in which canto? Uddhava and Maitreya, 3rd canto. There's a chapter there called Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So, they're described there in that dialogue, in the 3rd canto. The pastimes of the gopis, they are referred to in the 11th canto also. In every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, in some form or other, there is the mention of the 10th canto. So therefore, those who advise not to read the 10th canto are not authorized to read any part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They should not even touch Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. They shouldn't touch. So for whom did Raghunath Das Goswami write the words Prachur Seva, Tambuladi Arpanam, offering of betel and so on? For whom did he write this? Padamardanam, massaging the lotus feet. For whom did Raghunath Das Goswami write this? For whom did he advise all this? For the devotees only. For the devotees only he advised. So how can one learn these services if one does not read Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, one does have to develop eligibility. Yes, that's true. One does have to develop eligibility. Right? Don't sleep. One has to develop eligibility. One does have to have Shraddha, Nishtha, and so on. That's the eligibility. But if this is not our aim, if it's not our aim to hear these pastimes, to become absorbed in them, Gurudev says, if we don't make this, if this is not our aim, then even after several lifetimes, one shall not obtain the qualification to hear this. Do we want to wait several lifetimes? No. No. Prabhupada used to warn against this. He said it's very dangerous in this material world. The mind can take you anywhere. And it's not impossible that something happens and at the time of death you have to go down into an animal body. Huh? And you have to wait for a long time to come to the human form again. So, Gurudev is saying, we have to make this our aim. And then we can attain the qualification to hear this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that there are two types of service. External and internal. Raghunath Das Goswami says that externally we should follow hearing, chanting, and so on. Especially the 5 limbs of bhakti. Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathuravasa, Shrimurtir, Shraddhaya Sevan. He's saying, 5 limbs of bhakti. We should follow this externally. And those who have greed, they will follow what? Tannama, Rupa, Charitadi, Sukirtananu, Smrityo. They will follow that. Those who have greed. The recitation of and the meditation upon Sri Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes, as quoted previously in Upadeshamrita verse 8. So, if we are living in Vrindavan, if we're living there in Vrindavan or Navadvip, then why should we not read the 10th canto? If we go to Seva Kunj for offering obeisances, with what understanding will we go? Shall we offer obeisances only to the trees and the bushes? Or shall we offer obeisances to the confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna that are not described even in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Huh? Yes, that's what we should be offering our obeisances to. So what is the point in going to Nidhuvan and Shirghat if all those pastimes do not overwhelm the heart? So for what purpose? Shall we go to Giriraj Govardhan, to Chandra Sarovara, to Paitagram and Radhakunda? For what purpose? So at present, we may not have the qualification to perceive the pastimes that take place there, but this chapter cannot be forever closed to us, never to be read. You want to give any comment or anything up to this point? What's the point of going to Vrindavan? What's the point of going to Seva Kunj? What's the point of even going to Radha Kund? If what? If all those pastimes do not overwhelm the heart. We want that our heart will be overwhelmed with the pastimes, names, forms, qualities, pastime. That's what Tannama Rupacharitadi means, is that. So then he's asking, so then what's the point of going if those pastimes do not overwhelm the heart? For what purpose shall we go to Giriraj Govardhan, Chandra Sarovara, Paitgram, Radhakund? So he says, Gurudev says that at the present time we may not have the qualification to perceive the pastimes that take place there. Who has that? Very rare. Extremely rare that someone will have the actual qualification to perceive the pastimes that take place. But the point is that this chapter, it cannot be forever closed to us, never to be read. So we have to start now in this life reading it, hearing it from authorized sources. And that's why Prabhupada gave the Krishna book. So now Gurudev is telling that there are two kinds of bhajan. Two types of bhajan. One type is for the sadhaks, that means the practitioners. And the other type of bhajan is for the siddhas, those who have perfected souls. So in this verse, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is instructing the sadhaks how to perform bhajan. He's instructing the sadhaks, not the siddhas. He's instructing the sadhaks how to perform bhajan in this second shloka. And what will happen? That they will gradually, by performing bhajan in this way, they will gradually lead to the perfectional stage. Gradually. So if you want to do this kind of bhajan, then what do you have to do? According to this verse, you have to consider Sachinandan as Yashodananda. That Mahaprabhu is Krishna. You have to consider the son of Jagannath Mishra to be the son of Nanda Baba. You have to consider the son of Mother Sachi is very merciful. Son of Mother Sachi, Sachinandan, Gaurahari, is very merciful. He has come from Vrindavan. That's where he's come from. He has come from Vrindavan to bestow mercy upon the living entities. Anarpita Chirim Chirad Kurunaya Avatirana Kalo. He has appeared in the age of Kali out of his causeless mercy to bestow the most priceless gift that was not previously given. Yes. I actually wrote a foreword for the book of Bhakti Swarup Sridhar Maharaj. I was requested by Radhakanta Prabhu. But he read through it and he approved of all of it. But I actually told there exactly these words. He has come from Vrindavan to bestow mercy upon the living entities. He has appeared in the age of Kali out of his causeless mercy to bestow the most priceless gift that was not previously given. So he thought, no, that's not exactly accurate. You know, so it was not, I actually said it was never given before. It was not previously given. So he said, he made one correction, only that one, and he told me. He said, I thought I should say that it was rarely given before. But then when I read this, Gurudev is directly saying it was not even previously given. Because why? Because it's such a long, eons and eons of time. 8.6 billion years. It's like never given before. But not only that, it actually was never given by anybody else in any point in time in the entire manifestation of the whole material creation of millions of universes. It was never ever given by anyone else except for the son of Mother Sachi. That's all. It was never given. So, He has come to do a favor and to give this confidential praying. He has come to relish Radha Bhav himself. He is so kind that he gives praying to everyone, even to the birds and the beasts, as he did in the Jarikanda forest. Krishna, he also gave praying. Did you know that? Krishna also gave praying, but occasionally. Occasionally. Very rare that he gave praying. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave it freely, profusely. I'm adding that word. Now those who are entangled in this material world, they have no other way to receive it. To receive what? This prema. They have no other way. They're entangled in this material world. They have no other way to receive it except by chanting the holy name and by associating with devotees. That's it. There's no other way to receive this. Chanting the holy name and associating with devotees. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of his associates also, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of associates of Mahaprabhu. So, he and his associates, they all came to give this. They came to give this. And who? Sri Radha herself. She became Gadadhar Pandit. Vishaka and Lalita appeared as Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar. Krishna brought all 8 principal Sakhis and their maidservants. Lord Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj together became Haridas Thakur. Nityananda Prabhu preached the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nam Kirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri to relish Unnata Ujjvala Prem, the highest Madhurya Prem of Srimati Radhika, and also to inundate the world with the nectar of confidential service to her. He came in the form of Mahaprabhu to taste the unparalleled sweetness of Radha Bhav, and also to preach Manjari Bhav. So, without performing bhajan to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot perform bhajan of Radha Krishna. What did he just say? Huh? Without performing bhajan to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then what? Yes. We cannot perform bhajan of Radha and Krishna if we don't perform bhajan to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Gurudev is saying that, but the scriptures, they say, to perform Ananya bhajan, to worship only one deity. That's what the scriptures are telling. So what should we do? Should we worship Radha and Krishna, or should we worship Gaur Chandra? Some say that worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is worshipping Radha Krishna. Some say that. If you worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you're automatically worshipping Radha and Krishna. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has answered this question in his Jaiva Dharma and also in his Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. Before Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in this world, this mockery was going on. Which mockery? Oh, Mahaprabhu is my Nagara, my hero, and I am Nagari, I am the heroine. If I am Krishna's Sakhi, Radha's Sakhi, and if they perform the rasa dance, then Mahaprabhu should also perform the rasa dance, and we should take part in it as his Sakhis. This is called Gauranga Nagari Vad. Sri Rupa Goswami and all other acharyas have rejected this theory, for it is not accepted by Mahaprabhu. So therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur refuted it, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also refuted it. So, question is, should we worship Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu separately? So what do the Sahajiyas say? The Sahajiyas say, do not worship Gaur Nityananda, except only Mahaprabhu and not Nityananda Prabhu. But they don't know. These Sahajiyas, they don't know the intricacies of rasa. In our temples, Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna, Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna are there in our temples. And Gaur Nityananda are also there. They are non-different. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to serve Radha and Krishna and to chant the name of Krishna. But he did not mention his own name. So should we neglect him? So Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that before worshipping the divine couple Radha Krishna, before we worship the divine couple Radha Krishna, we should remember Mahaprabhu, because he is Radha Krishna. And we should pray as follows. Oh, out of your causeless mercy, you have come with Radha Bhav to instruct the method of bhakti, and therefore I remember you. Meditate like this and serve Radha Krishna. So, now Gurudev is dealing with the last part of this verse. That he's explaining the position of Guru, spiritual master. So all the scriptures, they declare the spiritual master to be the direct representative of Krishna. What's the verse? Yeah. So here, in the prayer, it's the 7th verse by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who wrote this Gurvastakam. So here he's telling Sakshad Haritvena. Sakshad Haritvena means he is directly a non-different personality than Hari himself. That Guru is Sakshad Hari, non-different. How can we understand, how can we come to accept this truth? Because he says, Samasta Shastra, Ruktasta. That means it is stated everywhere throughout all the Vedic Shastras that Sri Guru is the direct manifestation of Hari. And then he says, Ruktastata bhavyata eva sadvi. Not only do all of the Shastras state this to be the most essential truth of Guru Tattva, but it's also completely supported by all saints and realized souls. Sadvi. So, Gurudev is quoting this verse, Sakshadaritvena Samashta Shastra, that all the scriptures declare the spiritual master to be the direct representative of Krishna. And Krishna says that one should know the spiritual master to be his very self. Where does he state that? In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 17th chapter, verse 27. Acharya mam vijaniyat. Acharya mam vijaniyat. Oh, you should understand. He's telling this to Uddhava. You should understand that the Acharya is actually my very own self. So the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also says to serve both the initiating and the instructing spiritual masters, and considering them to be Krishna's outward form, his rupa, and also his inward form, his swarupa. Respectively, the Diksha and Siksha Gurus are considered to be the outward and the inward form, the rupa and the swarupa. But without serving the spiritual master, one cannot serve Krishna. You want to serve Krishna and not serve the spiritual master? No. You cannot serve Krishna without serving the spiritual master. We should serve the Guru, and by his mercy we can serve Radha and Krishna. We should not differentiate. Rather, we should have more devotion for the spiritual master than for Krishna. Yes. This is how you can serve Radha and Krishna. Otherwise not. So that's why in this second verse of Manasiksha, Raghunath Das Goswami at the end of the verse is speaking about the Guru Tattva. That Mukunda Preshtatve Smara Paramajasra Nanumana. That the spiritual master is who? Very dear to Mukunda. Yes. There is a verse where this is being stated in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And this verse is spoken by Krishna. And Krishna is telling that by worshipping the spiritual master first, and then worshipping myself after, then one will attain perfection. Otherwise, one's worship will be fruitless. What is the verse? Pratamam tu gurum pujya tataschaiva mamarchanam kurvan siddhim avapnoti hyanyata nishphalam bhavet. Nishphalam means without fruit. So, Gurudev is ending his lecture here by saying, in this final paragraph, he says, one should worship the spiritual master first, in his form as a sadhak. Yes, in his form as a sadhak, one should worship the spiritual master first, and should render intimate service, Vishramba Guru Seva, unto him. Vishramba Guru Seva. That means intimate, loving service to Guru. And how should one consider the Guru? In your relationship with Guru, you should consider the Guru to be your ever well-wisher. Does Krishna say that in the Bhagavad Gita? Which verse does Krishna say that I am the ever well-wisher of all living entities? Fifth chapter. The last shloka of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He's saying there, how does it begin? Bhoktaram, Yagya Tapasam, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Suhridam. That means Suhrit, well-wishing friend. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. All living entities, I am their well-wishing friend. I'm in their hearts, always with them, going from one body to the next to the next. I am always with every living entity. So, there should be this mood toward Guru. That Guru is your ever well-wisher, always wishing you well. Never, ever, ever not wishing you well. In every time, place, and circumstance. Sri Guru is like that. And do you know that my beloved Srila Prabhupada, he always signed his letters. Every single letter that he ever wrote with his lotus hand, he signed it. Your ever well-wisher. your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Every single letter. How do you say your ever well-wisher in Russian language? Speak loudly, I can't hear you.
Вечный благожелатель.
Вечная,
Вечный.
вечный,
Благожелатель. Благожелатель.
Желатель. Благо
It is
желатель.
good difficult because even for Russian it is difficult
Yeah.
to say.
Благо желатель. Right? Желатель. Благо желатель. What's the first part again?
Вечный. Вечный internal, like internal.
Yes, вечный.
Благожелатель is
Your eternal well-wisher. Blaga. Always wanting your good fortune. Yes. So in every language, there is a way of expressing your ever well-wisher. Yes, but Krishna says it in Sanskrit. Suhritam. Do you know that there are different types of friends? Did you know that? That there are different types of friends. Did you ever notice that in your life? Huh? That there are different levels of friends. And why are there different levels? Because some of them, they are kind of distant, but they're, he's my friend. But some of them are more intimate. And so in the Sanskrit language, there are different words to express the word friend. One of them is bandhu. Bandhu also means friend. Priya bandhu. Priya bandhu means my very dear friend. Friend of my heart. Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj used to use the term in English language, bosom friend. Bosom in English means your heart, your bosom. That means a friend who is always being held by you in an intimate embrace of heart to heart. This is the type of friend. That this friend will never, ever forget you. And will never, ever treat you in any way that will be unbeneficial for you. They only want that you will receive the highest benefit. That is called Vechnaya Blaga Желатель. Yes. Forever. Vechnaya actually means eternal. Eternal well-wisher. But Prabhupada used the term ever well-wisher. Ever. Always, always. Ever well-wisher. In every single circumstance. And if you read Prabhupada's biographical books written by those who knew Prabhupada in the very beginning, you become completely astonished at how Srila Prabhupada showed that exact quality to everyone. Wishing them well, always. So Gurudev is ending his lecture. He says there should be internal and very deep love for the spiritual master. That should be there. The disciples should have this. Internal and deep love for the spiritual master. And one should aspire to inherit and to receive the love for Krishna that is present in his heart. That reminds me of a pastime of Srila Gurudev. This pastime was told to me by my very intimate, deep bosom friend, Shriman Pran Kishore Prabhu, who was the first one to come to Srila Gurudev from amongst the Western devotees and render service to him. And he did that starting around 1981. So he began to serve Gurudev, and even at that time in ISKCON, the whole negative mood towards Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was very prominent. And eventually the ISKCON did the unspeakable to ban him. But Pran Kishore, he was in the Philadelphia ISKCON temple as the head pujari. And at that time, where was I? Oh yes, I was in England. So we met each other again in 1986 when I returned from England. And we sat together for hours and hours in my van at the San Jose temple in the parking lot. And we just caught up with one another because we hadn't seen each other for a few years. But we were very close friends even from the early days of the old Brooklyn temple. And there I have actually a photo of Prabhupada walking in the temple room from after taking darshan of the deities, and then he's about to walk and sit on his Vyasasana. And as he's passing by, I'm standing up, and there's whole rows of devotees behind him. And I'm standing up with my hands folded like this, saffron cloth, and sitting below on the floor is Pran Kishore. He looked like, and he was actually like 16 years old at the time. Anyway, Pran Kishore Prabhu, he helped in my progression towards Srila Narayan Maharaj, but I had no resistance. But he's the one that went there to the Dham and created a relationship and started to serve him by giving donations and so forth. And then he told me the story that I believe it was 1983 or 84. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was still present on the planet, right here. And so he brought his wife, who was somewhat of a new wife to him, and wanted her to receive initiation from Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And because she had some incompetent ISKCON guru, who later proved to be more and more incompetent, but she wanted this connection. And so they went, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj mercifully gave Diksha to her. Pran, of course, had already taken Diksha from Srila Prabhupada. And after they visited Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they went to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, he told me the story of how Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj took him in a taxi on a short parikrama of Govardhan. And in the taxi was only Srila Narayan Maharaj, his personal servant, which was Naveen Krishna Brahmachari, who is now Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj. And then they were sitting in the back. They were in the back seat, and then in the front seat he was sitting, and his wife Champakalata. And you know, Sripad Pran Kishore Prabhu, he was telling about this parikrama that Srila Gurudev personally brought them on this parikrama. And he said that when they were at one place, one of these Leela Sthalis, was it Radha Kund or something? Yeah. When they were at one place, then Srila Gurudev stood in front of him and Champakalata. And he said, I want to give you everything that is within my heart. All of my moods and everything. I want to give that to you. And I don't want anything in return. And Gurudev began weeping. So here, Gurudev is ending his lecture by saying one should aspire to inherit and receive the love for Krishna that is present in Sri Guru's heart. Serve the form, serve the vapu of the spiritual master by the medium of his words. So how do you serve? His Vani. His Vani is his instruction. When you follow that Vani, then you are serving the spiritual master in his form, vapu. And how do you serve him in his vapu form? His bodily form? By following his Vani. If you don't follow his Vani, his instructions, but you want to be in his vapu, this will never work. And Gurudev directly says that here. He says, serve the form, the vapu of the spiritual master by the medium of his words, Vani, otherwise that service will become material. Yeah? Otherwise that service will become material. So the spiritual master, who is he? He is Ashray Bhagavan. He is the Ashray, the shelter. Krishna is Vishay Bhagavan, but the pure devotee, and especially Srimati Radhika, they are Ashray Bhagavan. So the spiritual master is in that category, that he is Ashray Bhagavan, and he is the supreme receptacle of love for the Lord. And who is Krishna? Krishna is Vishay Bhagavan. He is the supreme object of love. So with that, Srila Gurudev ends his Anuvritti commentary. And we've now completed the first and the second shlokas of Sri Manasiksha. We will go on in our next class on Sunday. That will be on the 30th. On the 30th, Sunday. We will go on to the third shloka of Sri Manasiksha. And then that week following, we'll begin the month of July, and from the first day of July is Srivas Thakur's disappearance day on Monday. Then Tuesday is Yogini Ekadashi on Tuesday. And then on Friday is Sri Gadadhar Pandit and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's disappearance days. Both of them disappeared on that day, which is 2 days before the Rath Yatra festival. That's Friday the 5th. Then on Saturday the 6th is the Gundicha Marjanam pastime, cleaning of the Gundicha temple by Mahaprabhu. And on the 7th, Sunday, is the Rath Yatra of Lord Jagannath. Not only that, but also it's the disappearance day of Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami and Sri Shivananda Singh. So this is a power-packed week. Yes. So we will have class on that Tuesday, and we'll discuss Srivas Thakur, because that is the Yogini Ekadasi day. And then I think I will switch the class from Thursday, which would normally be on Thursday the 4th, but because the 5th, Friday, is Sri Gadadhar Pandit's his disappearance day and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's disappearance day. So we could switch it to Friday. But Saturday and Sunday are both. The Gundicha temple is on Saturday, and then the Rath Yatra is on Sunday. So how to do this? We could combine we could combine the cleaning, the Gundicha Marjan with the Rath Yatra day, but also on the 6th and the 7th, is a very special festival day in Mayapur. 6th and 7th, or 5th, 6th and 7th. You sent that to me. No, it has the dates there. Yeah, that festival, which is the inauguration and the grand opening of Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhava Swami Maharaj Samadhi, and in the same Samadhi, Srila Bhakti Balabhatirtha Maharaj. And they're going to have like a 3-day festival. So the schedule is there. I'll look at that again, and then we can discuss exactly how to go about having our classes this coming week. But at least for sure, on Tuesday, we will have our class after the Sunday class coming up now. So that's a 10-day festival, the Rath Yatra festival, and the return journey of Lord Jagannath is on the 15th, Monday. So like that. Big days. Big month. July is a big month. August is a big month. Krishna Janmashtami coming. Julan Yatra coming. And then September, big month. Shri Radha Astami coming. And many other days. Vishwarup Mahotsav. Like that. So Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Jai Shri Manasiksha Ki Jai, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Jai Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satchavachai Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. All glory to the assembled devotees.